Professor Project team, Brent Fikowski here, back in Canada. Big trip abroad. Had the Elfit competition in Egypt, had the Dubai Fitness Championship. Little jet lagged, but back in Canada. It's a little cooler here, but it's nice to be home. So let's dig into things here. The Dubai Fitness Championship wrapped up, and as I always do, I wrote a bunch of notes, tried to kind of solidify and crystallize in my mind my own personal experiences and memories from that competition, just for posterity's sake, but also, trying to look back on what I did well, what I did poorly, specifically in the competition, try to make some notes and organize those in a way that I can, use those effectively for the next competition, try not to make the same mistakes, if any. And then also just training, right? Competitions in CrossFit is the best way to determine how things are improving, because in training, you're going to be worn out, you're going to be a little tired, and so sometimes it can be hard to see that progress. And then when you take that taper, that deload, you go to the competition floor, you have that adrenaline, you're racing against other athletes of the same caliber as you. That's when you're really going to know if you've made progress in certain areas. So an opportunity to do those things, reevaluate training. Still working on that today. I took a peek at a few videos, and then continue to add notes from what I see in the videos. If there's something that maybe I didn't know I did wrong or right in those competitions. It's always interesting watching video. You watch the video and it all seems so much simpler, seems so much easier. You wonder, why didn't I go faster there? I don't look that tired, but at the time I was very tired. I do a pretty good job of hiding my fatigue with my body language, but a lot of those events I was very, very fatigued, even if it didn't look it on the live stream. I'm going to run through a few of these events and just talk about a few things that I learned, and what I would do, maybe, what I would recommend, as a lot of these workouts are coming up in the programming for the Professor Project squad. So, like any long cardio event, the climbing up the Burj Khalifa was exhausting, and the sweet spot there is not starting too fast. I think I did a pretty good job of that. And then hopefully having a bit of a finishing kick. And I did do that. I might have been able to start my finishing kick a little bit sooner, but it's always hard to gauge when it's, a new piece of equipment. So overall good. Some little learnings, like technical things that you wouldn't think of climbing, 160 flights of steps. Where to place your hands on the railing, how to alternate them, all those sorts of things, how to take corners fast. But all those things that I might have learned, I'll probably never get to use again, because I don't plan on climbing up a skyscraper anytime soon. The next event, the hang clean, that went really well. Like anyone at max, what I find works well with those ladders, where it's every, you do the conga line and you add 10 pounds, add 10 pounds, add 5 pounds, in this case, it was kilograms. Really staying present, focusing on one little thing at a time, using each lift as an opportunity to kind of figure out what cues you really need to focus on. The thing for me was really trying to grip that bar as hard as I could, really grip it deep in the palm, so that when I deadlifted it and got it to the hip, if I really had a strong grip on it, it felt small in my hands, and I felt like I could really bend over, hinge over, and do that clean and really be explosive through that top bit of the clean. And if I didn't quite get a good grip on it, it felt like it was slipping out. And when that happens, you tend to shorten the full extension, try to sneak under the bar ends up in front of you, you're going to cave it forward. So that was something that worked. And then those events, what's kind of fun but also frustrating is, you just keep going up. So you do get an opportunity to go until you fail. There's less of an opportunity to celebrate, at least that's what I find, because I always believe I'm going to make the next lift. So, when I hit 160 kilos, when I hit 162, when I got 165, I always believed I was going to hit the next one as well. And from experience, if I celebrate too much and let out a bunch of adrenaline and, pound my chest, and then 4 minutes later go again, I feel like there's sort of been this, I've already signified to my body that there's been a crescendo, that the peak has been reached, and now it's all downhill. And so I've known that in training, if I hit a big lift and I celebrate and I'm like, yes, that was huge, that was awesome. And then I go, let's go up. It's too late. So you kind of always have to keep, kind of internalize a lot of that. so I didn't get to give quite a big celebration in the same way you might if you had 3 attempts at a hang clean. Let's say I went, 150, 157, 165. If I hit 165, then I would have been able to celebrate. So not as much opportunity to do that in this case. The next event was all about pacing. The 30 cal ski, 40 toes bar, and then the power snatches. That was all about pacing. And a lot of athletes started that first ski too quick, did big sets on the first set of toes to bar, and got out to a lead and then couldn't maintain that lead because there were just 120 total toes to bar, which is a lot. And then just so many power snatches, lots of skiing. So I was able to ski at pretty much the exact same pace every time. I think I went down a little bit in pace, but each 30 calories took more or less the same time. I would have had a much less of a drop off than most of the other athletes, I think. And the toes to bar started with small sets. I think the first set of 40, I might have done 10, 10, 8, 7, 5, or maybe it was 4 sets of 10. But a lot of athletes, maybe doing a, 20, 20 or 30 and 10 or, but because my breaks were so short, I wasn't losing that much time. And then by the back half, the last set of 40, I still broke down. I think I finished with a 4, 3, and 3. But if I had started with a bigger set, that might have looked like a 3, 2, 2, 1, 1. So, and the big one was that, and I think with those long workouts, I think there's this temptation to do these big unbroken sets and a belief that that's going to be what a champion does or needs to do. And I was still able to get a solid score in that, third place in the men's category, while taking these big breaks. Doing singles on snatches, doing sets at anywhere between 10 to 3 on the toes to bar. Skiing at a pace between 1,000 calories per hour. I think the fastest I ever went to was maybe 1,400. So probably an average about 1,200 calories per hour. So nothing like that outlandish, not anything that a lot of, intermediate CrossFitters can't do. They just probably wouldn't obviously be able to sustain it for 15 total minutes. And then the final event of the day was assault bike sprints into legless rope climbs. That's brutal. Obviously a really kind of scary combination, because if you fatigue your arms too much, all of a sudden a legless rope climb becomes difficult to impossible. So if you're trying that one at home, maybe change the legless rope climb to a different format. I know the biggest thing for me was, especially in the first 2 rounds, really focused on using the legs as much as I could in the assault bike, or the echo bike in that instance. But I wasn't always the first one off the echo bike, but because I had just used my legs and hardly used my arms, when I got to the rope, my arms were pretty fresh and I was able to make up some ground on athletes at that point. The next day, workout, shuttle runs, burpee box jumps, thrusters, really cool workout. A little bit in there for everyone, right? You got the monostructural running, cardio, you've got the burpee box jumps, which is body weight, and you've got the heavy dumbbell thrusters. And people keep asking, I got this question a lot from the media, is it a running workout? Is it a burpee box jump? And I think it's a bit of everything. I think depending on the athlete, obviously if you're good at all 3 things, you're going to get a great score. But I think most athletes were struggling in one spot or the other. And, for me, it was how the thrusters and the running sort of paired. So my thrusters should have been a little faster, cycle speed, ideally. And then the running just got slower because of the thrusters, whereas the burpee box jumps were something where I was making up time and felt like I could have, held that same pace on those burpees for another 5 reps. So with that one, I think what I ended up doing for reps was, I think I've got, let me think. I could figure it out if I had a little more time, but I don't want to waste too much of your time on the video. Long story short, I think I got about 16 reps, then maybe about 13 reps, and then 11 reps. And then in the last round, I got more repetitions because the weight went down. But, you're not going to get the same reps in every round. You do need to front load the work a little bit, but not to an extreme extent. So you should sort of see a gradual drop off in the number of reps you're getting each round. Where, let's say, obviously the dumbbell after 40 repetitions went down in weight. So in that final round, I did 4 heavy reps, put down the dumbbells, walked forward, grabbed the lighter dumbbells, and then got 9 reps in a very short amount of time. Had the dumbbells been the same weight, my rep scheme would have looked something like this. I would have probably done 16 reps, 13 reps, 11 reps, 13 reps. So kind of, start while you're fresh, your best round without going absolutely insane. Then you're going to see a drop off, and then a finishing kick. Because if you'd done that finishing kick in the 3rd round, I wouldn't have been able to do anything in the 4th. So usually in those types of workouts, those 2, 2, 2, 2, 3 intervals, you're seeing those more and more. That's seems to be the strategy that has worked best. I've tried that in training. So if you can kind of figure that out, that's always going to be beneficial. The next event was what are we doing, Brent? Oh, it was a grippy workout. So it was double unders, sandbag carry, chest to bar, sandbag carry, double unders. Big grip workout, obviously. So probably the biggest thing that you can do if you're doing a sandbag carry, try to clasp your hands or do this or something. If you're able to grab your hands together, it's going to make all the difference as opposed to grabbing the bag like this. Obviously, I'm fortunate that I have long enough hands. I was able to do that. If you have long enough hands, it's worth taking a little extra time to really set up and get your hands around as opposed to just grabbing it and going. Because if you're gripping out here, especially in a workout like this, your grip's going to go with the heavy jump rope and the chest to bars. Other than that, even though it's a short workout, you still do have to pace. I think a few athletes went out a little bit too hot in that set of chest to bars, hoping that was going to be the difference maker. And then because of that, their sandbag carry was slow and they had to break up their double unders. So it's definitely the sweet spot of, it's a short event. I think it was only a 5-minute event or so, but still ensuring that, you're not full tilt sprinting those chest bars and going to absolute failure. The next event was the clean, kind of a speed clean ladder, 10 power cleans, 10 front squats, 10 jerks. And for us, it was at 100 kilos. For a lot of people, I wouldn't recommend that. You kind of want to choose a weight that, you're optimistic that you might be able to do each set of 10 unbroken. And so, if you find your hang clean, like I hang cleaned 165, and then this workout was 100 kilos. So you can do the math, and maybe if on your hang clean you hang cleaned 130 kilos, then for this workout maybe do 75 kilos or 80 kilos. Or if your hang clean you got 100 kilos, then maybe for this workout just do 60 kilo and just try and go touch and go the whole way through if you can, and just kind of use it as a burner and see if those last 10 jerks, if you can if you can hold on. Yeah, and obviously that workout, I think the biggest thing that you need to do is, just high quality movement, right? Just really focus on movement quality, using your legs in the power cleans, and then with whatever you have left on those jerks, use your legs, use good positions, move the bar, not fast, but not slow, just efficiently. Usually in that workout, whoever has the best technique is going to prevail. And then the finale was nasty. So for those of you that watched it, I was in a tie for first place, and I was rallying back and forth with the man from Spain, Fabian, and was hoping to out-lunge him at the finish there to clinch up the overall victory, and wasn't quite able to do that, which was, frustrating at the time. But, it's hard to look. I haven't watched the video of that yet. It's hard. I know it's going to be hard to do. Hard looking back on those things and thinking, what if, right? What if I'd done this a little differently? Few things I would have changed, obviously knowing now. But at the time, went in with a smart strategy and, executed on that strategy as best as I could. But, body just wasn't quite cooperating on the overhead walking lunges in the way that it has in the past. So had to break those up a little more than I was hoping. And then, with that, just didn't have the shoulders to hold it up for quite long enough. If you're doing that one at home, it's a brutal workout. It's definitely about sort of managing fatigue, moving well, so that when you do get to those overhead walking lunges, you can crush through them, because obviously the handstand walk, the ring muscle up, the devil's press are all fatiguing the shoulders. All of them are fatiguing the triceps, even the core. And then on the overhead walking lunges, your legs should be pretty fresh. So the actual pump of the legs from lunging shouldn't really be a limiter. So don't really even pay attention to those, but just try to move quickly while the dumbbells are over your head. Because, your shoulders and triceps and your core, everything that's needed to hold those dumbbells in place are all going to be pretty fatigued. So when you're doing all those other movements, in the devil's press, for example, really try to use your legs to, doing essentially the kettlebell swing technique, where you're swinging those dumbbells overhead as much as you can using your legs, so that your shoulders can be a little fresher going into those lunges. Anyway, those are my little tips. I hope you enjoy doing these workouts as much as I did. And I know I'm really excited. I'm kind of going back to the drawing board and thinking about what training is going to look like for me, what training is going to look like for everyone on the Professor Project. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun these next few weeks as we, I head to Wadapalooza, but really as we all head towards the CrossFit Open. So we'll talk again soon. Take it easy.